Hello and welcome to the video. In this video, I will tell you exactly how I managed to go from being pretty shy and never really having dates in my life to having lots of dates with fairly attractive women, and how I eventually found a beautiful girl that I have a loving relationship with right now. And hopefully with this information you can go and do the same for yourself, because that is the intention with my content. I want to help others who want to solve the problem of not having a partner they want or not having the dating life they want, because that is the problem that I solved for myself. And the reason that I show you the pictures with the girls I used to date is to provide some evidence to back up for what I tell you that worked for me. Because in the end of the day, everybody can go and sit in front of a camera and claim that they did something, but if you don't really get evidence, then, well, you don't know if it's true. And when you receive information, I believe everybody's mind is always subconsciously asking a question, and that is, why should I listen to this person? You wouldn't take health advice from an unhealthy person, and you wouldn't take financial advice from a broke person, so it makes sense. And with that, I immediately want to say that I'm not trying to brag that I've dated a lot of girls. I'm not trying to say that it's important that a guy sleeps with a lot of girls, even though that's what a lot of guys want, and I think there is nothing wrong with it as long as you don't hurt other people's feelings, if you don't put your agenda in front of other people's agenda, if you don't lie and manipulate, if you're just being a decent human being and you're honest and that's what she wants as well, then again, I don't think there's anything wrong with all of that. And so yeah, I managed to go from a place where I was not really happy with my intimate situation. I was not having lots of contact with girls. Most of my friends were mainly guys, so I wasn't really going out a lot, meeting women. And so I knew something had to change if I wanted to have a different result. And so I started reading some books on how I could attract women. I followed some courses. And most importantly, I went out a lot and I approached lots of women for years. I've had a few relationships in those years because I was always looking for a relationship in the first place. I genuinely just wanted to have a good, loving partner. But it happened to be that it took me a couple relationships that went nowhere and a few dates to eventually get there. And as I said now, I really love my partner. I hope we will succeed. And I'm sharing everything with you that worked for me to achieve that goal. And so I want to start off by saying that there is no quick fix to this problem. If you are a guy that genuinely doesn't have a lot of dating options, then it is unlikely to change overnight. And I also want to set some expectations straight. You're going to have to approach a lot of women that the conversations will go nowhere. And that is just reality. That was the case for me. I've approached lots of women over the years. And I was totally okay with those conversations going nowhere, with lots of awkward situations, with feeling very uncomfortable, with having dates with beautiful women that I really liked and then they lost interest, or all kinds of scenarios where you just feel really uncomfortable and you're confused, and that's all part of it. Eventually, if you have the right vision with everything that I'm telling you, you will get what you want. You might not get a particular girl that you want. If there is this one girl in your life and you really, really want her, I'm not going to be able to give you some magical sequences or lines or behavior or tactics or strategy to change her mind to liking you. In fact, if you try and change somebody's mind into liking you, by default that makes you unlikable. So I don't want to get caught up with this one girl in your life. It's more a long-term vision of, if you commit to this path of working on yourself, becoming more attractive and meeting new women, then it's inevitable that you will meet awesome women along the way, and that you will also meet somebody who is not only physically attractive, but also her personality will match with you and you will have a great relationship with her. And that eventually was my goal. So I don't care that along the way there was lots of rejections involved and some relationships that went nowhere, and that's all part of it. So I will give you an overlook in this video of what this process looks like. And then in my other content, I will go actually in the nuts and bolts and do the practical information of how you can get all of those elements to work. But the big picture is that you need lots of dates. Just like in sales, you need a lot of leads. And the leads go in the lead funnel, and some people fall out of the funnel. And it's just the same with dating. And we're trying to not be manipulative, and we're trying to be as honest and genuine as we can. I'm not a fan of manipulating people, as I said. I believe some people are meant to connect and other people are not, and to respect that. I do not want to spend too much time trying to convince somebody's mind that doesn't like you in the first place, because like I said, that makes you by default dislikable. You need to imagine, if you go to a new school or work floor, there will always be people that you naturally connect with. You vibe with them, you get along, and they become your friends. And the other people, they don't become your friends. It's not like you become enemies, but it's like kind of neutral. You don't really bond, and that's fine. You're not trying to convince them to be your friend. You're not trying to change their mind. In fact, that would be very strange. But with women, all of a sudden, of course, you do have that motivation to change your mind because she's attractive, because you want something from her. So a part of it is to let that go. I believe it is the most efficient way to do this, to solve the problem of not having women that are interested in you, is to go out there, present your best self as possible, and if the interest is not mutual, to let it go and find somebody else. And so the basic formula is to commit to long-term personal development, to make yourself and your personality and your physical appearance more attractive every day, while meeting consistently new women. And with that out of the way, I want to immediately mention that there is this big paradox that comes with it, because the one problem I see with personal development and committing to become a more attractive man, is that you immediately also say to yourself that you're not enough. Do you see how that works? When you desire to be more of who you are now, you're actually saying, I'm not happy with who I am now. And that is very tricky. I don't mean to go into a Buddhist speech or psychology or philosophy too much, even though I'm very interested in these topics. But it's true that it is a very tricky one, because the magic really lies and the benefits are huge when you learn to accept who you are and to accept that you are growing. To accept that when you're born, you didn't know how to walk, or you didn't know how to drive a bicycle, and you learned it. And your personality is evolving and growing. They say that older men are usually more attractive to women than younger men, and that is because they have more life experience, and life experience gives you lessons, and that these people tend to know more who they are, they tend to fight less with themselves, they tend to have more wisdom, they tend to have a stronger direction for where they want to go with their life, and all this creates some more maturity and stability, and it makes them more attractive. But that doesn't mean that if you're a young man who still has to have all this experience, that you're not attractive. Do you see how that works? It's tricky. It is very tricky to think that you have to be James Bond and icy and cold and tough and muscular and rich, because at the same time you can always feel like you're not good enough if you don't have any of these things, and nothing is further from the truth. And this will come back in the content I create a lot, the authenticity, because I feel like that's an element that took me a long time in my journey to realize that. I was going out a lot and reading books on how to be more attractive, and I thought you had to be confident and assertive and dominant. And even though I believe those characteristics are attractive, if you're trying to fake it and you're trying to be somebody you're not, it can lead you to be inauthentic, and it can lead you to disconnect from the woman. And if you want to make love, you need to have a connection. That's the opposite of disconnection. And so I believe that can work against you. And so I don't mean to give you too much philosophical theory. I want to stay very practical in my content, but this is very important. That when you do personal development, that you understand you're good enough as you are. You can go out today and meet women today, just as you are growing. You don't need to wait. And that brings me to the next point, that the more you grow as a person, I believe, the better quality of women you will attract. If you are a lying, stealing, terrible human being, you will attract lying, stealing, terrible human beings. And you will have a relationship with them. You will be compatible with them. Of course, your relationship will be really bad. There will be a lot of problems. So it's in your best interest to aspire to grow. But with that said, to also accept that you're not perfect. You will never be perfect, and that's fine. Okay, your partner will not be perfect. And that is all okay. So once you do that, you work on your looks, you work on getting a clothing style that suits you, on getting a haircut that suits you. And once again, this all doesn't have to be perfect. Women tend to be more attracted to the characteristics of men anyway, rather than how he looks like. where men are more attracted to the physical looks, obviously. We look at women in optimal breeding age. We look at signs of health like shiny hair, a healthy hip-to-waist ratio, young skin, and so on. So we tend to be biologically more attracted to younger women, where men tend to be more attractive for their characteristics of being a leader, being able to provide and protect, and being able to make connections and stand up for himself and so on. If you are a man that is constantly unhappy and then his woman has to constantly push him through life and motivate him, and he has no drive and no sense of direction, then that's obviously going to be less attractive than a man who is a leader and who knows what he wants in his life. And these men obviously tend to be more successful. And therefore that they say when a man is rich, he tends to be more attractive. Yes, because when a man is rich, he tends to have more of the attractive characteristics which have gotten him rich in the first place. So I believe that we should aspire to be that man, and that's going to be to your benefit. Once again, with that said, I want you to not obsess and to not be a perfectionist. To accept that you don't have to have everything in your life sorted out by tomorrow, and you can have flaws, and you can feel sad sometimes, and you can feel like life is overwhelming, and there will be tough times. You don't need to be perfect. Because once again, that's a trap I fell in, and it took me a long time to get out of it, to realize that it's fine when I see a woman and I feel intimidated. And I walk up to her and I say, hey, sorry, I feel pretty shy or nervous, but I still wanted to come and meet you. That can be a very beautiful compliment for her. Whereas that I always thought that I cannot show this. I always thought that I have to look confident, so I cannot say I'm shy. And so, with saying all this, I just want to get your expectations straight of what to accept. So step number 1, accept that who you are is fine. Willing to change is the first step to growing. So that's fantastic if you want to do that. And then working on yourself, going to the gym, working on your fashion, your fitness, and working on your personality. And your personality, I say working on your personality, but you tend to just become a more attractive person by having normal life experience. If you pursue the things that you're interested in your life, you will naturally gain more life experiences. They will shape your personality. Traveling will shape your personality. Having work experiences in a certain field will shape your personality. Pursuing certain hobbies, having friends, they will all make you more interesting. Where in a lot of dating advice that I read, it's about trying to look like you're attractive, trying to look like you have the characteristics of an attractive man, compared to actually being attractive. You know, it's a bit ridiculous, because one of those concepts that I learned in some dating advice, if I look back on it now, it was terrible dating advice, but they said you have to look busy. So when a girl texts you, you cannot reply immediately. So when you look busy, it makes you more attractive. And then afterwards I thought, how about you actually become busy instead of pretending to be busy? How about actually becoming a busy man instead of trying to pretend that you're a busy man? And so if you're only chasing women, that's obviously not going to be good for you. But if you're not getting your romantic and intimate needs met and you never get laid and it frustrates you, that's going to be unhealthy for you too. It's not black and white. It's not like chasing women is bad or good. It has its place in your life, and if you desire women and you want a relationship and you're not getting it and it's causing you to suffer, then you have to fix it. But if it's the only thing you're doing in your life and you're not pursuing any financial goals and you're not really living in a place you like, you don't have money for savings for later and all these other things that you have to handle in your life, then obviously you need to stop chasing women and handle these things. This is not rocket science, it's all pretty straightforward. So anyway, I tend to go a bit on a rambling spree, but I hope I'm making sense, and I hope that you get the message that you are enough, you can approach women today. Personal development is a journey that takes life, that you do for life. And you will never be perfect, and that's fine. So once you got that nailed down and you're always working on yourself, you're hitting the gym, you're pursuing the things you like and so on, then you need to get lots of leads in your life. You need to meet lots of women in order for women to be interested in you. If a guy is not happy with his dating life, then most likely he did not approach too many women in the last year. And then it makes sense that there is not much women in their life. So for me, my favorite way of meeting women is going out in the real world. I have approached women in train stations, gas stations, shopping malls, obviously bars and clubs. This is the more socially acceptable and go-to way to meet sexual partners. But I didn't want to limit myself to these places because I don't really like to go there in the first place. I personally prefer going to a mall or a shopping street or a food market where you can have more of a conversation with somebody other than a loud club. But I knew that there is a lot of attractive women in bars and clubs as well, so I also learned to go there. So I will break down all of that in my other content more in detail, the nuts and bolts of how I actually learned to go out and pick up women in nightclubs. And I will also share with you how I overcome the nervousness or overcame better the nervousness and shyness to approach women during the daytime. And every other topic that I'm talking about in this video. This video is more the big picture of what to expect and to set your expectations straight and what it actually looks like on a theoretical level to fix your dating life if it's not what you want it to be right now. And so you need to get lots of dates, and you get lots of dates through dating apps and through meeting women in real life during the daytime and the nighttime. And once you do that, you will collect lots of numbers. And then, of course, the better your interaction was with somebody, the more likely it is that they will show up on a date. If you had a small interaction with a woman on the street, you bumped into each other, you stopped her in her walking path, you say, hey, sorry, I just wanted to meet you real quick. You had a quick chat. Where are you going? Oh, I'm going to work, blah, blah, blah. Then you say, hey, actually, I don't mean to hold you up too long. You're obviously on the way somewhere. Do you maybe want to catch up sometime to have a drink? And she goes, yeah, sure. Then afterwards you exchange contact details and you text, hey, what are you up to? You want to catch up next week? When are you free? And if she likes you, she will say, oh, I'm free Tuesday, 7 p.m. Okay, 7 p.m, this place, up, and you meet up. But when she's not very interested in you, she will obviously not make it that easy. She will not be very responsive. She might not respond to your texts. She might be texting a little bit back and forth, but every time when you want to make concrete plans for meeting up somewhere, then she starts to be hesitant and so on. And so here, once again, I want to clarify, a lot of the times I try my best, and if she's not interested, I let it go. I'm not too interested into changing people's mind. They're not interested in me. However, there are a couple things that can work well, and I will share them with you as well. And so you can learn these things as well. And then afterwards, if you have that sorted, that you commit to personal development, you accept that you're not perfect, you will never be, you are meeting lots of women, then you will have lots of dates. And then you need to learn how to escalate things on dates. That all for me was very new. Once again, for some guys who never had issues with this in their life, they naturally knew when to kiss a girl or how to flirt with them and so on. For me, that was never the case. I had to learn all this, and with learning comes a lot of failure, and that's fine. Experience is your greatest teacher. I hope ultimately that if my video does one thing, it is getting guys to take action, because that's where you will learn everything. I'm saying everything from my experiences. And with experience comes failure, so there will be a lot of awkward dates. I had a lot of awkward dates and interactions that went absolutely nowhere and that made me feel crappy. And that was all part of it, and eventually I still got what I want. So you need to go through that. And then once you get awesome dates, you need to learn how to escalate sexually and obviously how to have great sex. And once again, I'm not trying to claim that I'm the sex god of the world. Of course, I'm not perfect, but I've definitely gotten better than how I used to. And if you satisfy a woman sexually in the bedroom, it's more likely that she will see you again. And when you like her, then it's likely that you want to see her again. And it's obviously not only good for that, but also it just makes sex more awesome. And so you're gonna have to get better at that if you're not good at it, and I definitely wasn't good at it, and it's, again, something that you learn with experience. But also here I can share a couple things that generally worked for me, and that will hopefully be interesting for you. Also about dating apps, I am not a great fan of online dating, but again, there is lots of women, attractive women on dating apps, so it would be not smart to not use that opportunity. If just because you don't like it, you don't do it, then, well, you're not gonna get great results. So you need to optimize, and you need to be a realist and say, okay, I might not like dating apps, but there's a lot of attractive women, so I may as well give it my best shot. And I used to be very time efficient with it. I gave myself 15 to 30 minutes a day maximum. I had a certain system of text that I used. I used my best pictures, I used the biography, and it kind of became like like a time-efficient sales funnel where I would try to minimize my time input and maximizing the results of getting girls to show up on dates. And I will also share with you all the things that I did in there in my other content. And so this was a big picture overlook of what you can expect from my content, and I hope that you understand that this is my real experience. This is how things went for me, and I hope that there will be information for you that you can apply. If you're interested, you can check out my website, robinbogaerts.com. I sell a course where I chronologically have a list with all my information in a audio product and ebook format for you to go through. But of course, my free content is great as well. So if you don't want to spend money, don't feel forced. If you want my one-on-one guidance, I also offer a consulting service where you can ask me personally questions, where I work with you, so you can check it out on my website as well. And yeah, I hope there is a fair change. Once again, I believe this is how business works. You give a valuable service, and in exchange you get paid for it. I'm not a millionaire yet, otherwise I would give it all away for free, but of course I got bills to pay. I want to earn some money as well, and so I hope it is not a ridiculous ask, but again, don't feel forced. My free content is fantastic as well. And also, if you enjoyed this video, if you find something valuable, please consider clicking the like button, sharing it with a friend who maybe can use this information, and of course doing all the other stuff, subscribing, sharing, liking, and so on. And so that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.